what personal care he took of each one. Every morning he would ask us if he had slept well, if he had eaten well, had a good breakfast, and if there was any health problem. We didn't have any doctors then. Baba was our doctor. He would give us homeopathy pills, and of course then Irene below would be receiving some chocolate packets from Switzerland. Excuse me. And during those days, homeopathy did not allow coffee, chocolates, certain things to be eaten. So Mani and I would be always left out of chocolates because we were on the homeopathy pills, and all those lovely fresh chocolates couldn't be. Baba would divide each one piece like that. So he was a physician, he was a father, he was a God, he was a Lord in everything. Our guide, companion, everything.
Tell me about how all of you fit in that blue bus.
Don't ask me. You have to see it. You
understand
can only
how it's
see
possible.
it to believe it. You know, we were like sardines, placed this way, that way, on the laps, on the seats, everywhere. We meant only for 16 people.
Right.
Yeah.
And
And Baba would,
30?
anybody he called, you know, for the vacation, children from school, colleges, in the bus. So we had to make room for them. Nani and Heidi and all these old people sat on the seats because they had to sit in crowds. We were given little stools in the aisle. But we were young. We were young then, so we didn't mind. We were all 17, 18, 19, so we didn't mind any hardship. And Baba was with us, so nothing mattered. And no doctors. Baba was after a doctor. He would ask us, now why did you get this cold? Is it running too much? Are you sneezing? Do you have a cough also? Any pains anyway? No. So you tell him all the symptoms, then sit to his little homeopathy box, you know.
Baba would?
Yeah. He'd go through all the bottles, pick out one, and shake out in his hands, take it. And then those days, homeopathy, when it was first introduced, I'm talking of 1930s, you couldn't have coffee, you couldn't have chocolate, you couldn't eat onions, you couldn't eat garlic. It was very strict. Now you can do everything. Now the science has advanced. But those days, they were very strict. So Irene Bilow's family would send her chocolate for Christmas or something. And she would give it to Baba. And then Baba would sit on the bed and ache out each chocolate to one, all of them. And then Mani and me, we both had colds. So Baba said, not to you all. And we looked so long. We never had chocolate. So we longed for those chocolates and we couldn't eat them. Baba knew very well. But we couldn't have them because it would react against them.
I can tell you that many of Baba's mandali used to practice homeopathy. So Padri was one, Adi Junior was another, Dr. Gani was one who had taken a course of homeopathic medicine. He was one of them. Then Vaidul was one who was practicing homeopathy. Yeah. And several others. Murli Kale, he practiced homeopathy also after he left Baba. After the new life, he went and studied homeopathy, and so I find that many of Baba's Mandali were practicing homeopathy. And Baba never discouraged them. Yeah.
Take my voice and let me sing, always only for my King. Take my lips and
Adi Jr. was deputed by Baba to be the homeopath physician in the clinic in the primary health center that Baba had at Mehrabad. He was the homeopath. Dr. Neelu was the allopathic doctor. There was, I think, Chagan Master or somebody who treated patients in the Ayurvedic way. So there were these three different clinics in the same primary health center, and many patients from around the area used to come and be there. It was just, I think, where the new Mandali Hall is, all that area was these temporary bamboo structures, and they had these different clinics, and I think there are movies which show this. Yeah. So it was all different at that time. It's not as you see it now. I was in the Mandali Hall, which is now the old Dharamshala. That was the only structure that was there, not the new Mandali Hall that was built in 1948, about 10 years later. Adi Jr. was there. He asked me certain questions, and hearing my replies, he gave me some homeopathic medicine. And he said, take these pills now and you'll be all right soon. And sure enough, a single dose of the medicine that he gave, and in a couple of hours the headache left me and I felt much better after that. So it was I think sulfur or something that he had given me. So nothing happened for a couple of days, but thereafter I began to have rashes down my waist. So from my waist down to the feet, I started to get boils, and my whole lower portion was covered with big boils, and they had a lot of pus in them. So it is said that in homeopathy, that there is any toxic system in the brain or elsewhere, that the homeopathic drug, depending upon the symptoms, clears that and brings it out of the system, and mainly it comes out on the skin. Baba came to know of this, and so he entrusted me to the care of Dr. Neelu, who was the allopathic doctor there, and to assist him was my brother Eraj. And I was shifted to the Rauri cabin. We were first staying in the Mandali Hall, which is the old Dharamshala now. At that time, there was no new Mandali Hall that you see. It came 10 years later, 1948, but this is 1938. So the old Dharamshala was the only Meher ashram for the men, and we used to stay there. when we first joined. But when I had this, I was shifted to the Rauri cabin, and there they began to treat me. In the meantime, Baba embarked on his blue bus journeys, and I was left behind in the care of Dr. Neelu and Iraj. Gradually, the boils subsided. For recovery, I was sent to my aunt's place in Ahmednagar, which is called Akbar Press. I was sent to for recovery while Baba was on tour in the blue bus journeys. And I was gradually cured of all the problems. So that was my first encounter with homeopathic medicine given by one of Baba's Mandli.
Take my silver and my gold, not a mite would I withhold. Take my intellect and use every.
Papa was a doctor, a physician. If he got sick, he would sit on the bed, open up the homeopathy book, and look questions. Do you have a nose running? No, Papa. Got a headache? Slight headache. Are you coughing? No, Papa. Chest making a noise? No. Read up, shake out the pills or hands, eat it. Cold cough. So he was a doctor, he was our everything. Anyway, no doctors, no doctors. We had Donkey, we had Dr. Neelu, we had that homeopathy doctor down, Farsi sometimes, but we could send messages. Some Rana would go around over the side to ask questions after everybody's health. How are you feeling, Katie? Are you okay? Yes, I'm all right, thank you. She go to Suna Masi, Rosh's mother. Masi, how are you doing? Oh, the knees are bad. There's arthritis. She was the gatekeeper outside. They went back. So then Ramla to report each one. This one had been bad. And the doctor prescribed, send the medicine. That's how we were taken care of. Nobody was sick, nobody was seriously sick, nothing happened. And we were like horses.
Dr. Alu Khambata, also a Baba lover, she used to practice homeopathy. So I think in the late 1960s, Baba had called her here to assist Ghaver because Baba's condition was not too good and Ghaver had to constantly attend to Baba's condition. So she had no time to attend to the Mandli's side and any ailments they would have. So Dr. Alu was called to stay here and she was here for about 6 months, I think. And for 6 or 9 months, I don't know, whatever. And she used to stay in that room number 6, just opposite the Mandli Hall in the night. And she and I was there during one of those times when I would visit Baba for a month in Merazad. I was allowed to stay here. So I noticed that she was there and I had some problem and she gave me some homeopathic medicine and it was quite effective. So she was also there. Baba also used to take homeopathic medicines. I remember one occasion when Baba was visiting Guru Prasad, and he would come to our house in Pune, and we were staying in a house on the borders of Pune camp and Pune city. It was known as Bindra House, and we used to stay there, and Baba would frequently visit our house when he stayed in Guru Prasad. So one day, I remember he asked me to get into the car. We were driving along, and there is a place called City Post Office. It's the main post office. It was the main post office for the city area. Pune City Post Office was quite central to the city. And from there was a lane to the left, and we turned into the lane, and there Baba stopped, and he asked me to get a homeopathic medicine called Califos 6X. So he said, go and get me one bottle of this medicine. So I went up, and it was on the first floor of a concern called VV & Co. It was one of the oldest homeopathic shops in the city. I went there, asked to be given that. So they gave. I got that bottle for Baba, and I came down. He asked me to break the seal, open the bottle, and he just took out some pills on his hand and popped them in his mouth, and then closed the bottle and put it in his pocket. And that's the last I saw of that. Baba was taking this homeopathic medicine at that time. So he was taking homeopathic medicines also. I think it was in early 60s, 1960s.